I want to jump to this story and announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, timcast.com is officially Newsguard Certified.
Let's go.
They gave us a score of an 82 out of 100. The reason I think this warrants a story is why they gave us an X on one issue of gathering and presenting information responsibly. To put it simply, we adhere to all standards of Newsguard. For those that are not familiar, Newsguard is a certification agency that rates all news organizations. It is used by big tech companies to determine whether or not you can share the content or it gets seen by others. Because in about 5 stories out of 4,000, it's 3,892 stories. 5 of them had issues. 1 of them, I believe, was a fact issue. 2 of them were for quoting the president himself, and 2 were because we had sentences that were just a little too similar to other organizations, even though the sentences themselves were quite generic. The reason why I think this is relevant, this affects how we get viewed on Facebook if you share one of our articles. This is how the Cathedral operates. We use Newsguard as a bias checker on our own. It's also a shield. If we report a story that says, how about this? The Hunter Biden laptop was confirmed and the emails in it are known to be real. Well, if someone tries claiming we're spreading conspiracy theories, I need only look to the Daily Mail and the New York Post, who are certified by Newsguard and said this is true. And then I can say, take it up with that certified agency used by big tech companies. They claimed that because in 2 articles, we did a fact-based report, Donald Trump says, quote, in response to quote, that because we didn't run a fact check, we are irresponsible and sharing misleading information because, as Newsguard said, Trump's quotes were provably false. I said, okay, how about this? We weren't doing a fact check article. We were just reporting the news. But if you want, moving forward, we will include a fact check. Here's where it gets really funny. As I stated, this is what the institution, the Cathedral, uses. It's funded by, I believe, Microsoft and Bill Gates particularly, or people mention it. It may just be Microsoft. In the nutrition label, and again, I have to stress this because this is what they consider to be the standard for big tech. They had 4 errors outright. Incorrectly labeling my job at Timcast, at Vice, and at Fusion. Falsely labeling the Tales from the Inverted World as science fiction and fantasy. They corrected all of those immediately, only after I told them they made the mistake. They injected opinion, referring to Castle as mundane. And the best part of the whole thing is
that's the most offensive part of all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hilarious.
I think it's stellar
absolutely.
work.
Yeah.
They have injected a false quote from me, which has to be the most egregious thing. And this is what I want to say. And I want it to be on the record. And forgive me if it's a bit internal or esoteric to the industry. When you have an organization that violates its own standards and accuses you of being irresponsible, well, now we have...
The FBI? I'm just kidding, by the way. I don't
perhaps,
know if the FBI
yes.
does that or not.
Well, you've got an issue there. So let me... I want to show you this. They say, asked by Newsguard about the above unchallenged claims. This was because we said, Donald Trump says, quote. Mm-hmm. In an email, Poole said, we will institute a policy immediately on all quotes moving... here's what they wrote. On all quotes, bracket, that are false, bracket, moving forward to run fact checks, and we'll have those 2 articles updated immediately. I never said that, nor did I imply it. Quite the opposite. Wow. I told Newsguard that if you require us to run a fact check on Donald Trump's quotes, the policy would require us to fact check every single quote from anyone we ever report on. And we will do that if that's what your standard dictates. That would put Newsguard in an impossible situation and potentially put them in civil tort liability positions. So they injected a false quote from me that said that are false, which I never said. I have requested a correction twice now on that false quote. They have not corrected it. So...
But Tim, they did not call you the blackface of white supremacy.
Now that's special.
So give them that.
That should be the blurb on every
give them
book.
That. Give them
This
that.
is the standard by which the media operates. It is an impossible standard. That being said, an 82 out of 100 is one of the highest ratings you can probably get. We got 1 ding. But we have 5 articles out of 3,892. This needs to be said so that you all understand. For one, I am already preparing litigation. Newsguard, you are being warned, okay? I will be very distinct and clear. Give me standing against Wikipedia, and I will launch a lawsuit in 2 seconds and put my money where my mouth is. Newsguard, you want to claim we are irresponsible? Here's what they claimed. Because they alerted us to 5 articles and we didn't catch them, that means we're irresponsible. I got 6 errors from you on your own website. If your standard is that we have to be more responsible than you are, I'd love to see you file that in court so I can parade it around after we file if you don't correct this.
Also, what are the news organizations that led us into war with Iraq? What are their ratings?
100 out of 100. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you USA Today. USA Today receives a 100 out of 100 credibility rating, despite the fact that on their page they say, in June 2022, USA Today took down nearly 24 stories by a reporter whom the newspaper said appeared to have made up people she quoted.
Right.
Newsguard fabricated a quote from me.
Yep.
They even acknowledge USA Today fabricated stories, but they are 100 out of 100.
Also,
I would argue that this has to put them in some kind of civil tort territory. I will show every single certification they've ever given, and I will show they have no legitimate standards. And I want them in court to admit it.
USA Today drove that story several years ago that black churches were being burned because of racism. And it turned out completely, totally bogus. There were more mosques and synagogues that were burned. Most of the black churches that were burned were in the forest, in the woods. Very few of them were burned as a result of somebody doing it because of racism. Completely set this whole country, pardon the expression, on fire. The story was completely and totally bogus.